Hello, learners. Welcome to another session of our program, and we shall continue with atoms. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to define an atom, an element, the symbol of an element, and also give us some examples of symbols of atoms or elements. And as we run up this lesson, we also expect you to define the periodic table and state some of the characteristics of the periodic table. Now, in our previous lesson, we discussed about the Greek atom, where we told you that an atom is derived from the Greek word called atomos. And we did a simple demonstration on a piece of paper where Democritus described an atom as being indivisible or uncuttable. But of course, those concepts were no more accepted. And scientists came up with a new definition of an atom, where an atom is described as the smallest particle of an element that can take part in a chemical reaction. Another definition of an atom can be that it is the smallest particle of an element that retains the chemical properties of that element. So be very careful with these two definitions. Now, let's look at the structure of an atom. When we look at an atom, we have some components called the subatomic particles, and that is why the old version or definition of an atom being indivisible was discarded, because an atom actually consists of subatomic particles. Now, these subatomic particles are the protons, the neutrons, which are all located at the center of the atom called the nucleus. We also find electrons that circulate or move about the atom in regions called the shells. So that is the structure of an atom. Now, when we look at atoms, you should be able to know that atoms constitute or they combine together to form objects or substances. For example, you have your sodium being made up of tiny particles called the sodium atoms. This also goes for diamond, which constitute tiny particles called carbon atoms. So generally, atoms come together and form our objects or substances we have around us. The next part of our objectives will be elements. So stay tuned, guys. An element is one with a single kind of atoms, and an element is an example of a pure substance. Remember, a pure substance is one which contains only one kind of particles. So you know other examples of a pure substance, which of course are compounds and so on and so forth. Now, looking at an element in this format, we find that this element has single or identical atoms. The atoms, which are all these blue round stuffs, are identical. They look alike. And that is also true for what the atoms in copper as well as the atoms in silver. However, the atoms of copper are brown and differ from the lustrous white atoms of silver. Now, this actually ties with one of the postulates of Dalton's atomic theory, which states that atoms of the same element are alike but differ from atoms of other elements. Now, the atoms of copper will also look alike with atoms of other copper elements, but they will differ from the atoms of silver. However, this theory or this postulate was discarded thanks to the existence of what? Isotopes. Now, if you have any question or doubt, please leave the comments below or in your chat box as we usher you to our next objective, which is symbols of elements.